Hello, I'm Richard Weaver, and this is Sat TV Week. Now I'm pleased to be joined by Nik Smith of Lockheed Martin. Nick, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Richard. Good to be back.
Now, we spoke 12 months ago.
Wow.
12 months is a long time in this industry.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Lockheed Martin and what the latest developments are.
I think as a company, we still continue to focus on delivering what our customers need to deliver their mission. It's still, we're still driven by their needs, I would say, and it's always part of our conversation. We're still very much focused on what I consider to be the security and military customers, and that still drives a lot of our thinking in some of the services and products we develop. We've really focused on initiative around 21st century security, which is really thinking about how we as Lockheed Martin as a corporation can start making the different systems and platforms we provide and deliver. How do we start connecting those? And of course, space is a fundamental part of that. So within our space division, we very much focus on how can we bring the technologies required to start connecting up all these different parts of the order of battle for many of our military customers, and how do we start that way, sort of being a force multiplier for some of these things. That's a real focus for us. But then we also continue to focus on space exploration and how to be part of the next mission to the moon and Mars and Artemis and everything else.
Now, the market is quite disrupted at the moment, and we've got private enterprises like Elon Musk, which are disrupting the legacy part of the market. Lockheed Martin always seems to be stable. How do you manage that? How do you manage to keep going in this market where all these challenges are?
Like a lot of people, we constantly, I think, challenge ourselves as a corporation to make sure we're staying relevant. And like I said before, that customer focus and really thinking about what the customer needs and trying to stay ahead of that as much as we can. Because ultimately, we're about delivering the services that our customers need and our partners need. So that helps us a lot. We are changing as well as an organization. We're thinking about how we can make sure that we embed innovation at the heart of what we do. We you use the term legacy. I'd like to think of ourselves as a heritage space company. We're also thinking about how can we, where we naturally operate maybe as a prime contractor, as a prime system integrator, how do we start partnering or even subbing into other companies and other partners? We're doing something really quite interesting in the market. How do we provide our benefit and make sure that in all those partnerships we're providing value? The other thing we've done, which is something of innovation for us and the way we're shifting, is we've developed a product center. So we're starting to think about how we can become a supplier vendor as well. So we are trying to make sure that whatever we do is relevant to what our customers need. And when we do get into a partnership, we make sure we provide as beneficial.
Talking about your customers, what's the biggest challenge for them in this particular market?
Wow, I'd probably say, this maybe sound obscure because you expect me to say something. I'd say part of the biggest challenge, and it's one they always have, which is choice, which is, quite often it's always about limited resources and how do they make a decision around which of the things they need to try and do is most important at any given time, and therefore how do they make sure that the allocation prioritization of those resources. From a military perspective, there is an ongoing debate. We're sat here in London right now, we're in the UK, and of course the UK is going through Strategic Defence Review. A huge part of that is, where do we apply the budgets we have to have the most impact to make sure that our military is most relevant? And I think one of the hardest things for many of our customers right now is, how do you determine what is the right mix, that right blend, and how much space do I need in this mix? And that's where we're very much focused on making sure we can stand alongside our customers and our partners and have a conversation around, how do you do that modeling? How do you do the analysis that allows you to understand where that investment has the most impact in the operational benefit or mission that you need? And that's something we continue to do. How do we stay in lockstep with them and make sure that we'll be part of that decision making and help them make those decisions so that they make the best decision that they've got? Because the reality is they want to do it all, they can't do it all because of the choice. And I'd say that's probably the biggest thing I would say.
Lockheed Martin, global company. Where are the key sectors for you at the moment?
It's interesting because I would have said, 5 years ago, it was very much how we can start thinking about providing something in sort of the commercial and services area for what is a far more a changing retail and consumer market. I would say, we're very much that. I would say in the last 5 years, it very much is focused on how do we make sure that militaries and nations who are thinking about putting up national programs which they've recognized are fundamental not only to their militaries but to everything they do in their standard way of life. How do you make sure those things are resilient and are not going to be a weak flank? How do you make sure they are secure? And for us, a big part of that growth is that broader thing around how do you do resilient space architectures, and how do you make sure that we bring the expertise and innovations we've been doing for the last 10, 15 years, how do we bring those to some new customers who haven't thought about this before? And that, I think, is a huge area right now where we're having conversations with customers.
This might be a difficult one to answer, but, we had Brexit, Europe, UK, we're reevaluating our relationship with the US. How is that affecting the supply chain and how Lockheed Martin works? Because, as I say, you're a global company.
And with that comes a great deal of power. And I think I think it's important to understand that most space companies like ours are global companies. They may be headquartered in different locations, but they're generally global companies. And that's incredibly powerful, I think, for nations who are trying to build up their own space sectors, because that offers you an export market. It offers you an ability to do some bilateral bridging through these industrial bridge. So for us, we're a UK company. We have Lockheed Martin UK Space. We have a lander company here with people and teams here doing outputs. But of course, we also have our headquarters in the US, and the same is true for Airbus or Thales, wherever you look to. But that has a lot of power in it as well. So actually, I think there's huge power in being a global company. And as you see what I think will continue to be both churn in the changes of politics across the globe, a change in the threat vectors, the geopolitics changes, but also a change in the market itself as companies respond to changing markets. I think having that diversity is really important. And what we're very, very keen to do is to make sure that we can be a key partner in those nations we operate in, one of which is the UK. How to make sure that we can deliver here what's really important for the UK, offer them diversity of supply, and through our bilateral relationships around the globe, actually deliver some real benefit to the UK economy.
Nick, as always, a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.